All right, JD. Hey, I'm super glad to have you on the call and everything. Looks like you didn't have any trouble getting on here or anything.
No, it wasn't hard at all. Just go click and it had me download something, and then it only took like 30 seconds. So
Perfect, perfect. And I love using this technology just because it allows me to put a face to the voice right away. You can kind of see me a little bit. And not only that, I can share my screen with you. So as we're looking at a few properties or whatever, I can get immediate feedback from you for each of the ones that we look at. So I'll know, what it is specifically as we look through some photos or whatever, what it is you like, what you don't like, the various types of properties, the curb appeal, whatever it is. I can have a really good idea. And then that allows me to go back and do an even deeper search for you. And then those I can just send to you at that point. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So
yeah.
before we get into that, we're going to get into just a couple properties. And also I'm going to go through the whole process with you now that you have your girlfriend. What's her name?
Mary.
Mary. Now that Mary is here with us too, it's a good opportunity.
She can hear you. She's over here in the kitchen.
Yeah,
She's
perfect.
making sandwiches.
Hey, Mary.
Hey.
Okay, so what I want to do, the very first step is going to be to go through this buyer consultation with you real quick. I'm going to ask you a few more detailed questions than what I asked the other day, because I'm just asking what type of house, how many bedrooms and baths. That's pretty generic, right? And that applies to about everything that's out there and doesn't give me too much of a sense. And then that's where buyers can get frustrated when an agent starts taking them out every weekend looking at stuff that right off the bat is just off base, right?
Right.
I found that with a few additional questions about you, your lifestyle, what you're looking to get out of the property, we can bypass most of that stuff and save you a tremendous amount of time. So the first questions that I wanted to go through with you. Okay. So the primary contact with me is going to be you or Mary, would you say?
Both of us the same. I mean, you can reach any of us at any time.
Okay, great. And what's the best time? What's the best way and best time to reach you if I need to?
She doesn't get off work till after 6 o'clock, and I'm pretty much good anytime after 3 p.m.
Okay, no problem. So let me ask you, what's prompting the move? You're renting now, but what is it about? What's prompting you to finally decide to buy?
Well, so my girlfriend is pregnant, and we live in a small apartment right now in Frederick. So we need
congratulations. When's the baby due?
October, actually.
Okay. So when do you need to be in your new home?
So like we were planning on originally, before I even talked to you, like I said, just making with what's due in our apartment for another year or so while we saved up money. So I still, I'm open to hear about any programs or something. If you think we can get it done sooner, then cool. If not, like it's completely fine,
Okay. Now, did you say you were already pre-approved for a mortgage? Or
I said that I had a guy pull my one of my friends is actually a lender here at a local credit union. So I had him kind of go over all my stuff, and he didn't give me a pre-approval, but he looked at it and he said, "Hey man, you'll probably be good for this much, but I'm not going to like run it." You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
good. And what was the price range you had kind of figured you wanted to be in?
So I didn't want to go anything over 325.
325?
325, yeah, that's the absolute, like not even, I know sometimes they try to get you with just a hair over, but that is me fully stretched out. I'm just being honest with you up front.
Okay, no problem. Now, if we found a home today that meets all of your needs and as many of your wants as possible, and all of the other issues that were in the way we handled fairly easily, would you want to make an offer if it was something that you totally loved?
If it fits in my budget, if it fits in my budget, if I can somehow get out of the lease, and if I don't, if I can make do with what I have, in the bank for a down payment, then those are my three things: down payment, budget, and lease.
And I don't ask you that to pressure you or anything like that. I only ask you that really just to kind of gauge your
Yeah,
overall
yeah, yeah.
readiness and desire.
Yeah,
That makes
absolutely.
sense?
So I was, those are just the three things. Get past those three things, I'm down. We can, I'm ready to make it all for tomorrow. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
Okay, great. I'm just going to go through a few questions about the property itself in a little bit more detail. It's going to allow me to do an excellent search for you. So let me ask you, who will be living in the home that you buy?
it'll just be Mary and I
And
and
then the baby, right?
the baby. Yep.
Okay. Will anyone else be spending more than an occasional overnight stay there, like parents or anything like that?
No, not any parents or anything. Sometimes my wife's little brother, he's kind of like a troublemaker. So
Okay.
sometimes he needs a place to like crash or whatever. Try not to make a thing out of it. And I definitely don't want to base the next house I get over that. So,
Okay. And some of these questions that I'm going to ask you, they may seem a little weird at first, but part of this process with me going through some of these questions, a lot of buyers have a good general idea of what they're looking for. Like you already know, you kind of like a rancher and how many bedrooms and baths and everything. But there may be things that you hadn't considered yet that might also be needs that you have, that this will help kind of pull those out so that when you buy this property, it's going to be nice and functional for you in your lifestyle, your family now, your family, what it may look like within 5 years or so. So this is designed to kind of give you a crystal clear picture of what you're going to need. So that's going to be really useful for you once we're out looking. Because I would hate for you to buy a property, say 3 months from now, and it looks great right now, and maybe there was something you hadn't considered, and all of a sudden in 2 years it doesn't work for you anymore, and you haven't had enough time to build up enough equity before you need to sell it, move into something different. Does that make sense?
yeah. Also, just quick question, unrelated. How long do I have to be in a house? Like, how long am I trapped in a house? If I buy a house now, how long do I have to stay there until I can get rid of it?
Well, theoretically, you could put it on the market the next day. So, but generally it takes a couple of years to build up enough equity that the transactional costs of selling it, where you can break even. I would say 3 years generally is
Okay.
where you'll be able to do that and not
Okay.
lose money based on the transactional costs, like realtor fees and stuff like that that a seller has to pay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
that's why I want to be real careful about making sure we take care of your needs and get you in a good house and negotiate a great deal for you so that you don't overpay and then you're in the property and kind of stuck there for a few years.
Yeah,
So
I got you.
things happen and you never know.
Right.
You can sell
Right.
it or whatever. So I will always be looking out for resale. When we're looking at a house, I'm always going to be considering your resale options when I give you advice about each property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so tell me about your lifestyle. What do you enjoy doing at the home? Do you do a lot of entertaining? How do you spend your time in the evenings and on the weekends?
So the weekends, pretty much outdoors. We're usually like I'm kayaking a lot or I'm on the boat. But generally at home, we host. We like to have parties. We have people over. So that's why that like I want a rancher style house, but I also want it to not be like a typical rancher. I want it to be like a little, more spacious throughout with a big back patio, that kind of thing.
Right, okay. Does your home need to accommodate any special needs?
No, I don't have any special needs or anything.
Okay, do you have any pets?
I do have a dog.
Okay, so a dog. All right. So does it need a large backyard, a normal backyard, fence, that kind of thing?
I would prefer a fence for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
The yard that he's in right now is fenced in. I don't have to worry about it, so I don't really feel like having to train him.
Okay. Now I've got a weird question coming at you here, but it's kind of an important one about the style of property that we're going to hone in on. So when people come to your home, what do you want your home to say about you?
Um, that um that I like to host. That like when you walk in, that it's a place that you would be comfortable hanging out. You
Okay. Okay. So is there anything I should know about your lifestyle that I have not asked yet?
know? Not really. I mean, I'm active, you know, I like go kayaking and stuff, but generally we like to party. We like to host parties. So, you know,
Okay.
that's, you know, we always have people over.
Okay, great. Good, good. So we're probably going to need a little bit bigger kitchen, that kind of thing, so everyone kind of
Yeah.
congregates a little bit. So that's good to know that right off the bat then, right?
Right.
Okay, good. Tell me about your ideal location.
So I do not want to be in a situation where I'm paying city and county tax at the same time.
Okay.
So preferably outside city limits. Um, and I don't have to worry about it quite yet, but as far as schools go, somewhere relatively not. I don't want to be in a ghetto. I don't want to be in a bad school. It doesn't have to be the coolest top A plus, but it cannot be down here.
Okay, good. You were reading my mind. That was going to be the next question I asked you. So, okay, any school in particular, or just like you said, just not poorly
Just
rated
not
school?
ghetto. Like I definitely don't want it to be like Tuscarora or something like that.
Okay. Now, are there any particular views that you're seeking?
Like views from the property.
Yeah.
Uh, my ideal location is kind of it doesn't need to have a good view, but if I could be somewhere where I didn't have to see neighbors, that would be,
Okay. How
yeah.
would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10 for importance?
Uh, I know Mary doesn't care, so probably eight. Eight for me. She's probably like a five for her. So just let's just say 6 or 7.
Okay. All right, cool. What else is important about your location? Anything else?
I know Mary works down in Rockville, so if it could be close to the interstate, you know, just hop on, bang bang, get down the road. That'd be nice.
Okay, so what would be the furthest commuting distance for Mary?
She probably. What are you driving now? 25 minutes. Okay, so probably want to stay around 30 minutes or so.
About 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any preferences of when the house was built?
I don't want an old Civil War house. I don't want anything 1900s. So let's just, I don't, you know, if it's in good shape, and I'm sure there's an inspection and stuff like that. So let's just say no older than 1980.
1980. Okay. All right, no problem at all. Do you want the house to be in moving condition, or are you willing to do some work on it?
I do not know how to do any of that work. So I just want to be moved and ready. Just come in.
Okay. So when they're move-in ready also, generally that means that we probably won't be able to get any kind of super deals on those properties, usually where the like heavy discounts are to be had, or when there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
What do you consider a heavy discount? Because I have no idea. You know, I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, I see a house for.
So let's say a rancher like the one you're looking for is let's say at 330,000 in that price range. Just for example, the house is move-in ready. They've already updated it and all that kind of stuff. Let's say it needed a lot of work and was really dated from 1980. Maybe we'd be looking at 300.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I only tell you that just because if the home's already been updated by the previous people, it just means we're paying market value versus some kind of deep discount or whatever.
I gotcha. Okay.
And I just kind of give that to you up front, just so you kind of expect that.
How does that work as far as if I, you know, because that's one thing I was going to ask you about, because I have a friend and he's always looking for foreclosures and this kind of thing. And it seems like he's always getting these really good deals, but he also, you know, has a whole connection of people that are going to come in and redo it. And I wouldn't be against that. He'd be able to help me do that, but I don't know how that works as far as like with the loan or, you know, I think there's like a rehab loan or something I heard about, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you as soon as we're done right here with a couple more of these questions, and we're almost done. I'm going to walk through that whole thing with you.
Okay, cool.
So that you have those options. That way, if you see those, you kind of have an understanding of, oh, okay, so based on what you're looking for, expect this or expect this.
Yeah, because every time I just hear the word foreclosure, I think good deal. You know what I mean? That's just
Yeah. So, and generally it's kind of important to buyers. Initially, a lot of my buyers start out thinking, we'll do some work like HGTV or something like that. then when they get there and see the properties and realize how much work it is, a lot of times, a lot of my clients are like, nah, just move-in ready is fine with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it tends to be worth it for them. Okay. So do you need any other structures like a greenhouse or shed since you're into kayaking, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess, oh yeah, another important thing. So if I need to have some sort of storage, like it can be like a garage, or a shed, but something to put my kayaks in.
Okay. So what type of house are you looking for? Single family, condo, townhouse? I know you've already told me rancher. Are you open to townhouses or anything like that? What type are you looking for?
Definitely. I mean, so like if I found out that townhouses was my only option, that's fine. But then I would definitely wait a year or however long I needed to wait to get single family. So does that make sense? I want a single family. That's fine. But I'm not. Basically, what I'm saying is I'm not going to settle. I don't want a townhouse.
Okay, so single family is the type you're looking for, and that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Unless you had to.
Yeah, if I found out I couldn't get a single family, I'll wait until I can get a single family.
Okay, perfect. Did you have any kind of approximate size that you were needing with that as far as square footage? And if you're not familiar with it, that's okay too.
I'm a little familiar. I know that my place here is like 1,300 square feet.
Okay.
And I would want it to be at least a good 700 more, so maybe 2,000 square feet.
Okay. And what kind of style do you want the interior to be? Like formal, casual, cozy, contemporary, open?
Open, modern touches. I like the warm feeling. I like the darker colors.
Okay.
But that's not a deal breaker. If like the house has like white walls or whatever, like I can get it painted. It's not a big deal.
Okay. Did you have any? How many bedrooms do you need? You've got the baby coming and all of that, but how many were you looking for?
So I work from home.
Mm-hmm.
So in an ideal situation, it would be a master, the baby room, and an office room or like a computer room. So 3 bedrooms.
3 bedroom. Okay. Yeah. And did you have a specific idea with bathrooms?
Whatever normal 3 or 4 bedroom comes with. I mean, at least two.
Okay.
Yeah, full baths.
Okay. Now moving on to the kitchen, what features must your kitchen have? Like what kind of appliances, that kind of thing?
It doesn't have to have brand new appliances. However, I don't want like an old stove. Like, okay. My wife cooks a lot, so I need, my girlfriend cooks a lot, so I need to have like a nice oven. Not, like I said, top of the line, just not old, like, beat up. I don't want the crap out on me.
Okay, no problem. What kind of finishes do you want? Like what countertops, flooring, appliances, that kind of thing?
Definitely a big fan of granite.
Granite? Okay.
Yeah, granite, like marble countertops, I guess. I really like those.
Okay. So we are looking for pretty updated property then.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any likes or dislikes for the kitchen?
No, the likes would just be an open space. That's the biggest thing that stands out. The kitchen's kind of like how I grew up. That's just like where people are. They're in the kitchen. They're in the dining room.
Yeah.
Eating, it's like a social thing. So I want it to be open so that my guests and everybody can kind of hang out there without feeling like,
Yep, 100%. All right, so real quick, we're about done with this. I just have a couple more questions for you, and then that gives me a very good idea of geographically where to start looking and what to pull up for you. So what are the top 5 things that your home needs to have?
Needs to have an open kitchen. It's got to have it doesn't need to be really nice, but like a semi-finished basement.
Okay.
That's some sort of storage for my kayaks, so 5 things. You said 5 things that has to have. It has
That it
to have.
needs to have. This is like absolute has to have.
Absolute must. Okay, absolute must. Got to be 2,000 square feet. Okay, got to be 2,000 square feet. Got to have a finished basement. Got to have a little bit of a yard. And when I say a little bit of a yard, I'm not like maybe a half acre. And
sure. And these are the things where you don't even want to see it if it doesn't have these things.
Okay. Yeah. So at least 2,000 square feet, at least a half acre yard, at least a finished basement, and like a big kitchen. So that's 4. I'm good with those 4. There's do you have anything else? No. It's all good.
Okay. So beyond those 5 things, what is something else you really want to have?
What I'd like to have a garage.
Garage. Okay.
I'd like to have a garage. I'd like to, a fireplace would be cool. I've always liked fireplaces. I'd like can I add one more thing to the need category?
Yeah.
The need, another big need is some sort of a back porch, like a gathering area. Like
okay.
Doesn't have to be like a deck. It doesn't, just some sort of outdoor patio doesn't need to be huge. Just something for maybe like 6 or 7 chairs out there,
Yeah, I know exactly. Okay. So if you could have just one more thing, what would it be? These are kind of hard, aren't they? That's why I asked these kind of questions right here, because it's something that maybe you hadn't quite thought of that will be important later, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be near the highway. That's the only other thing. It just can't be too far from getting on the highway to go to Rockville.
Okay. Perfect. And there's any other features? Anything else like that at all?
No.
Perfect. That gives me a really good idea, and I've been kind of mentally thinking about even the location that has all of those things that you're kind of looking for in that price range that you're really looking for too. So that gives me a really good head start and in a very specific type of property in a specific location that works. So I'm going to see what we can find here in a second. So the next step, did you have any more questions about that before we move forward as far as any of those features and that kind of thing?
No, I didn't have any questions about the features or anything. Okay. I'm just excited to kind of see what area do you think I'm sure you have something in your head. What area do you think?
Well, there's a few different areas. One of them is kind of Monrovia, has the ranchers that with a little bit more land like that's kind of close to the highway. So right off the bat, I'm thinking Monrovia. Also, let me ask you, because a single family in that price range up to say 350 or whatever can be a little bit challenging too, which is why a lot of people switch to townhouses that are brand new in that price range. But let's say single family, are you open to parts of Washington County that are really close to Frederick County?
Actually, I've never thought about that. But I don't think it would matter. As long as it was like 35, 40 minutes, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be like.
Yeah, and I have to look. So we're going to actually look in the entire area and see what shows up there. I have no doubt that we won't have any problem finding something though.
Okay.
And if we do, we'll go over that and just readjust our search. So it's no problem. Okay, so the next thing I want to go through real quick is just what to expect in the process now. Now that I know exactly what you're looking for and you have a really good idea of what you're looking for, I want to go through the buying process itself so that you know what to expect there also, and any fears, doubts, or anything like that you may have about the process will just kind of melt away as we go through this. And it'll also give you some good questions to give to me. Is it okay if I share that with you real quick?
Yeah.
Process? Perfect.
No
got a little video here that I just want to share with you real fast that's going to go through some of these things, and then I want to go over any questions or concerns you may have once we take a look at this. Can you see my screen right there, JD?
I can, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear that?
I can.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Tim Brooks with the Ultimate Selling Team at Keller Williams Realty, and I wanted to thank you for taking the time to go over this buyer presentation with me because it'll be so important for the rest of the buying process. We want you to be the most educated buyer in the market so we can get the best deal.
Okay, JD, now that we watched that, so we covered the property itself, making offers, the appraisal process, so that you can be confident that you're not going to overpay for anything that we saw, how the negotiations work, how the lending process works, and all of the extra benefits that you're going to get when you become a client of ours. Did you have any questions about anything, any of those kind of things at this point?
No, I didn't have any questions. It was pretty clear. So, but just wanted to make sure again. I know I think you'd said this in the first meeting. I went over it a little bit right there. But so there's no fees or anything. There's no fee for you working for me. Like at the end, that's going to pop up at the closing table or anything.
I do have an administrative fee that's $595. And that's the seller pays all the commissions. I have an administrative fee that is on the buyer side for $595. But when we negotiate your property, I'm going to negotiate in a seller contribution towards your closing costs to cover that and a bunch of your other closing costs too. That way you don't actually have to worry about paying for that. I'm going to get the seller to pay for it through a closing cost contribution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And then if I can't do that for some reason, I'll just take it out.
Cool.
So the next step then is for you to become our client, and that's done with the buyer agreement that I kind of talked about in that video.
Yeah.
And I'll go over that with you too. It's just a really simple thing. You can cancel it at any time, but that makes you my client. And then I have a fiduciary responsibility to you to look out for you and your interests above all other things, including my own. That's what also allows us to get paid from the seller, and is just kind of a simple thing. That'll be the next step in the process, kind of like I explained in that video right there. And I'll go over it real quick, what's in there, just so you can feel comfortable with it. And then the next step is for me to go do that MLS search based on the information that you've given me. I want to send that over to you and then have you kind of narrow that down to your top 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You want to go over the buyer agreement real quick, just so you can feel comfortable with it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It'll be real fast. I'm just going to share what's in it. So when I send it over to you electronically, you can feel good about it. It's just going to have your information on here. Everything that I do as your agent, I need your authorization to do. I can't just go rogue doing other stuff or negotiating for you or other things without your consent. So you'll be a part of that process at every step of the way. But this will allow me to actually tell you information about the property itself, any information that I can find out from the seller's agent or the seller itself, we can then use to our own advantage to negotiate the best deal possible. So this just authorizes me to look for real estate here in Maryland for you. This agreement will only be for 90 days, at which time we can renew it if we want to, or it just expires. You can also cancel this agreement at any time just by giving me 3 days notice. So I don't want you to feel like you're locked in. Let's say I do something, you don't like it, whatever, you decide that you're just going to continue to rent and that it's just not a good idea going forward in the future or whatever. I don't want you to feel locked in here because you can cancel this at any time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. This kind of lays out my responsibilities to you and what I need to do for you, and the multiple listing service, what my responsibilities are as far as showing you properties that are in there. As you can see here, new home builders and open houses, coming soon status in the MLS, and sending those things to you. If you do go see any new homes or open houses, I want you to just let me know that you're doing it. Let the agent, wherever you end up, let them know that I'm your agent and represent you. That way they're not asking you things that will work against you in the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then they can contact me also, so you're not bombarded by all of the new home builder reps trying to sell you stuff. Financial information. This just allows your lender to share your information with us so that we can submit offers for you. Also, it's an exclusive relationship, which just means that I'll be the only agent representing you in the process. You can see how that would kind of get confusing if there was more than one agent representing you somewhere, where there causes a lot of confusion, and then it just becomes a mess. So this just also says that we'll be the only agent representing you. Let's see. Broker compensation. This is the part we talked about. This is what most buyers are kind of worried about. This is the part that says that we will be getting paid by the seller. But it also has that $595 administrative fee that I talked to you about. The only thing in here that's something of note for you is that if you do deal with a for sale by owner, same thing, come up, let me know that you're looking at one. We'll go negotiate that with them. And this says that the for sale by owner seller will pay us 3% of the sales price as our compensation. And that if they won't, that you will pay that if you still decide to go forward with that. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay, perfect. And that any property that we look at, if you do end up buying it within 180 days of this agreement, that we'll still get credit for the sale from the seller. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. I'm just seeing if there's anything else in here that's of note. Flood insurance, premiums, flood insurance, rate maps, repairs of property. This just says that any repairs to the properties that they make, if we request repairs in the process, that they have to use a licensed contractor to do any repairs that you request. That's good for you.
Okay.
And that's about it. So it's a nice, simple document that just creates our agency relationship with you, allows us to represent you in the process, that you can cancel at any time with 3 days notice. That makes sense? So nice and easy.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So what's somebody was telling me about this before, dual agent or whatever. So how does that work again?
So dual agency, what that means, so as an agent, I can only represent one party in the process, right? So if I'm representing you, we're out looking at properties and stuff. There's no way I can represent a seller and you at the same time. It's just not possible to represent two opposing interests in a transaction. Dual agency is actually the brokerage. It means, so I work at Keller Williams Realty, right?
Right.
And there's hundreds of agents at that agency. So let's say we want to go look at a listing that some other agent in the office has listed. We all share the same broker. So if we go look at a listing that some other agent in the office has listed, that would be dual agency just because we share the same broker. I still represent you, and that other agent represents their client. We just share the same broker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
that's all dual agency is. You'll still be represented by me, and I won't know anything about them.
It's actually like that?
About you.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so a lot of people, it sounds weird where it sounds like, oh, one agent is representing both sides in a transaction, and it's actually just means that we share the same broker.
When I think about that, and I'm not saying that this is what happened, when I think about that, though, I think about like an agent being like, hey, like we could do this thing. Let's do this thing. Is that?
See, that's one of the problems when, say, just buyers out there, when they call a listing agent directly,
Yeah.
What happens is they may be under the impression that that agent is helping them or something like that, but that agent is actually representing the seller and the seller's interest, and only the seller's interest. And it's their job to get that buyer to put in an offer that's as high as possible, that is the most to the seller's advantage as possible. They're only allowed to help you fill out paperwork, and it feels like they're helping you, but they're not. Their job is to get the seller the best deal possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's not the same as dual agency, though. That just means that seller is their client and you're a customer.
Gotcha.
Where they don't owe you any fiduciary responsibility at all. In fact, it's their job to get the best terms out of you possible for the seller. So that's why with me representing you, though, that protects you from that, because I represent your interest. Listing agent represents the seller's interest. That makes sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Excellent. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to shoot you out that buyer agreement real quick, so that that just makes you my client and doesn't cost you anything. And then I'm going to go do a deep MLS search real quick based on what we talked about. I'm going to shoot that over to you. And then what I'd like you to do is I'd like to get on another one of these calls with you and narrow that list down. And I want to kind of go house by house asking you either what you liked about it or what you didn't like. And then based on that, I'm going to refine the search one more time. And then we'll narrow it down to say our top 5 that we want to actually go see.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Okay, great. And I want to talk to the lender real quick also and see if we can kind of, if I can get him to do a pre-approval for us real quick. You saw in the video why the pre-approval was so important, right? Because once I send this list to you and we refine it and do a good job with that, if I've done a good job listening to what you're telling me, you're going to see something on that list that you're going to want to go see.
Right.
And that's why we want to have that pre-approval there, just in case you see something that's hot that you want to make a move on. And maybe you won't too. So I'm going to talk to your lender real quick as soon as we do this buyer agreement. And then I'm going to send over the properties also.
So is it cool if I try my lender first? I want to give.
Yeah, that's who I'm going to call.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've got another guy who's got really good rates and everything.
Yeah.
Once I talk to your lender, though, I just want to see where you're at with your pre-approval.
Yeah.
If the rate looks a little high or whatever, I know that's your friend, so that's fine. You know, that's why I'm just going to talk to him.
At the end of the day, I don't care as long as I don't need to give my friend my business. I just thought, I did my auto loan through him.
Yeah.
I was able to get a really low rate for that, and from what I've heard,
credit unions are they're good for stuff like that. They're good for cars and things like that. And who knows with the rate, though, that isn't generally their thing, what they do, but let's look at it first. I don't want to, if it's good, it's good. If it looks a little bit high or whatever, I have a different guy who I work with a lot, whose rates are really good. He's really good at what he does, especially say with with Mary, who had some credit problems and stuff. That's the only thing I'm a little worried about with a credit union, because that's not really what they do, right?
Right.
So if there is any issue with that, or if it looks like it might be a little sticky, I have a different guy you can talk to just get another opinion and see what the rates are.
I planned on, I'm not going to go crazy like 3 or 4, but I planned on doing at least my guy and then somebody else just to shop the rate, just to see what I can get,
Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to do the list for you real quick. I'm going to shoot over that buyer agreement. Do you think you can get that back to me today so I can get started with that other stuff for you? And if it takes us 6 months, that's okay too.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be able to get it back to you. It didn't look like a long thing, so I could do that quick.
Okay, I'm going to shoot that over to you here today. Do you think you guys would be available to do another call like this tomorrow evening once I can get time to get that list over to you? That one will be short, though. We're just going to look at properties, and that's it.
Yeah, if I think we're having people over tomorrow night, so I think like 30 minutes. We would have like 30 minutes.
Perfect. It won't even take that long. I'm going to put properties up. We're going to look at photos. You're going to tell me what you like and don't like.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
Sounds good. And so today is Tuesday. I'm assuming by probably Thursday, you're going to have a few properties that you're going to really like. Assuming that you found a couple properties that you say, hey, Tim, we have to go see that. That property looks awesome. when would you tentatively have time this weekend if you thought it just assuming we found something that you actually wanted to go see?
I mean, just any weekend is good, but it's got to be early Sunday morning. And we got to be able to be back in at our house by 1 o'clock because I watched football. So
okay, and I'm only asking that just tentatively so I can block that part of my schedule out, assuming that this week you find something that's like, oh wow, I have to go see that. And if we don't, we don't. It's no problem.
Yeah, Sunday.
I don't want to dangle a bunch of properties in front of you and then say, oh, we can't go see it till Monday, and then someone else came and looked at it too because it's a great property and it's gone.
Yeah,
do that to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Perfect, and we can go through that again tomorrow. So I'm going to shoot this the buyer or your buyer agreement over, so you become my client. Congratulations, by the way, on that. I'm thrilled to have you on as a client.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what the possibilities are.
Good, and as soon as I get that back from you, I'm going to be shooting over that other list to you too, and then I look forward to jumping on there with you real quick tomorrow. Also, did you have any problem with the technology or jumping on the Zoom call or anything like that? Does that work for you?
No, it's pretty easy. Just click the link, download, hop on. Yeah, I've used other similar programs for work conferences, but we've never used Zoom before. I've heard about it though.
Yeah, I love it too, because that way it saves you so much time and energy, so you don't have to drive all the way into my office or something like that.
Yeah, that is the cool part. That is definitely the cool part.
Perfect. Well, JD, it was a pleasure talking to you. Mary, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'm looking forward to getting this done for you and getting that this first list of properties over to you. I'll shoot that agreement right over to you. I'm looking forward to getting it back, and then we'll get on here tomorrow. Sound like a plan?
Sounds great. Thanks, Tim. I really appreciate it.
All right, JD. Talk to you later.
See ya.